Hello everyone and welcome to the greatest game you will see today, regardless of how far you look. It is David Navara versus Finek Vaclav from the Czech Championship Round 4. Navara, of course, needs no introduction, but more and more people are getting into chess. So just to give you a little bit about him, he's a 12-time Czech champion. He is currently 2678, but at some point he was over 2750. I believe he highest ever. He was number 13 in the world. And, all in all, an incredibly strong player, defeated pretty much everyone, and he is, of course, the favorite to win the event. But going into this round, after 3 rounds have been played, he is on 1.5 points, whereas 13-year-old Finek Vaclav, who is an international master, already has 2 points. So, obviously, a very strong player we are dealing with here. So let's check out the game and see why it was brought to my attention. It was brought to my attention by an excellent subscriber by the name of Igor Travenec. So thank you for that. I probably would have seen this game, but you never know. So, huge thanks for sending this to me. So let's check it out and beware, we are stepping into immortal territory here. David, with the white pieces, opens with knight to f3. He starts off with areti. We have knight to f6 by Finek, c4, c6, and now knight to c3. And here Finek just plays d5. He says, I don't care about your English setup here. I'm just going to play the Caro-Kann against it. And yes, you can actually do this. It's perfectly fine. e3, we have e6, and now b3. David wants to fianchetto the dark square bishop. Bishop to d6 and bishop to b2. We have castles and bishop to e2. So all been played before, nothing new here. Knight b to d7 and now queen to c2. Saying that, okay, I might castle queenside, I might castle kingside, keeping his options open. And we have queen to e7. And now when you have this setup and black already castled, if you're playing black here, you want to see kingside castles here, and then, okay, we just continue playing the game. Or maybe d4 and then kingside castles, and we continue playing a quiet game. But no, Navara plays rook to g1. And okay, you know that this is not going to be a calm game. You now see the bishop, you see the pawn ready to be pushed forward, g4, g5, h4, h5 is coming. This will be a very sharp game. So okay, the best defense to an attack on the king side or the queen side is the counter attack in the center. So pawn to e5. David's king is still on e1, so it makes sense to open up the center. Pawn to g4 and now knight to b6. Now putting pressure on that g4 pawn. So g5 and now there are a couple of games where knight to e8 was played, but here we have knight f to d7. And it is now as of move 11 that we have a completely new game. And here, David just plays c captures on d5. Now, the reason why this position is so tricky, and this is where black's troubles start, is that you have to play knight captures on d5. You have to play knight captures on d5, and now, okay, let's say after knight to e4, you go after the bishop. Let's say bishop to e3, bishops get traded off. Something like h4, a5, and now if h5, you have a4, and already black is doing very well. There's the threat of a captures on b3, and you really don't care about any pawn pushes on the king side for the moment. So that's the way to do it. But Finek played c captures on d5, which is the principal decision. You take full control over the center, and you just enjoy life. However, here it doesn't work tactically, and David goes after it right away. Knight to b5. Now, why is knight to b5 so deadly here? Can't we just move the bishop? What's wrong with that? Of course, we don't want to give up our bishop, but let's say we move the bishop. Bishop to b8. Now the problem is a4, and you can already resign here. The threat is a5 to trap your knight. But if you don't, even if you don't trap the knight, there's the threat of bishop to a3 with the skewer, and you're going to win material here. Even if you play something like pawn to a6, then there's knight to c7. Attacks the rook, and once you move it, still bishop to a3, and black resigns here. So that's why after knight to b5, you can't move the bishop. You just don't have the luxury to waste time. Rook to e8 is played here, getting the rook off of this diagonal. And now pawn to a4. Again, a5, a terrible threat. The knight really has no squares here. And now if you try, let's say, pawn to a6, then you just capture on d6. And after queen captures a5, again, the knight is trapped. So that's the problem. So here we have knight back to f8, freeing up the d7 square for the b6 knight, and David attacks it. a5, knight b to d7, and now pawn to h4. Just continuing to push on the king side. We have pawn to d4. Again, principled, you want to open up that center, and now comes the moment where, well, we really see what kind of a player David Navara is. Now, h5 is just the best move. There's no doubt about that. But he plays rook to c1, and rook to c1 is just very very hard to play against. Best what you could hope for is to just play a6. You kick away the knight, and once this gets traded off, captures, then h5, white continues the attack, and you try to hold on. However, knight to b8 was played here, and while there are many moves you could try here, you could centralize the queen, you could advance the pawn. David went for queen captures on c8. So okay, it's a queen sacrifice for a bishop and the rook. Let's see what he had in mind. We have rook captures and rook captures. And now, pretty much in every game where one of the players sacrifices, there's that one moment after the sacrifice has been made where you have a chance to consolidate, where you have a chance to, take a deep breath. Nothing is happening here. The time is not running faster. Everything is cool. You have time. But you have to play the correct idea. And here the correct idea is pawn to a6. And only after, let's say, pawn to a6 is played, you trade off here, and then you go after the rook with queen to d7. That's how you play this, and the position is perfectly fine, very much playable. However, here after rook captures on c8, queen to d7 was played right away, but here it just doesn't work. And the queen sacrifice, it really is not the reason why I'm showing you this game. The next move David played is the reason why I'm showing you this game. Okay, the queen sacrifice made prior to this move does make it even more nice, but this is why I'm showing it. So feel free to pause the video, soak it in, and give me your best. What do you play here? White has one move that makes black's position unplayable. So have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this spectacular idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop to c4. Yes, you've sacrificed the queen, and now you also sacrifice the rook on c8. The problem is the rook on c8 cannot be taken. What is David's idea with bishop to c4? Well, if queen captures on c8, his idea was, of course, knight captures on d6, attacks the queen, and puts pressure on the f7 pawn. But surely this cannot work. You will just move the queen to c7, and now knight captures on f7. Is this so deadly? What is white's threat? Well, white doesn't have a threat right away, but the problem is black does not have a piece that black can move. Let's say you play knight to c6. Okay, already knight captures on e5. You will capture on e5, and knight captures on e5 with check. Not a problem. King h8, you go back, knight f7 check, king to g8. And now, due to this very nasty possibility of a discovery, and with so many nasty threats and nasty discoveries being threatened by the knight, there's no move you can play. You can't really get the rook into the game. All of the squares are covered, like this covered by the knight. If you go to c8 or e8, then just knight to d6, a discovery from the bishop will pick up the rook. So what can you play here? And what is and how is white to win this? Well, white actually wins this quite easily. Rook g4. And okay, let's take a pawn here or something. Let's play b5. Black really doesn't have any better moves. A captures. Knight to h6 check. A double check, forcing the king into the corner. King h8 and rook to f4. Of course, the knight cannot be captured. Look at the mighty bishop pair. This is when I talk about the bishop pair from hell. This is the bishop pair from hell. And now again, let's say you play something. You can't really move the rook. The queen has nothing to do. Let's say you play something. Rook to f7, and you resign here. That's pretty much it. Once you give a few checks, let's say queen to g3 check, king to d1, queen to g1 check, king to c2, whatever you play, it doesn't really matter. A simple check will be checkmate. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, the reason why I said that it's almost possible to survive this is if you find the engine defense, and I don't see anyone playing this. Unless you're like maybe obsessed with the b4 square, then maybe you think of this move, but few people are. Bishop to b4. This is the engine gives this as the only way to play. Point being that now after knight captures on e5, you take the rook. Bishop captures on f7 with check, king h8, and bishop to c4. It's very similar. Again, you will have this nasty pin, but now knight to e6 can be played. And now, once you play knight captures on d4, you go after the knight. Knight captures on d4, bishop captures on d4. It is a little bit easier to play, but still, not by a lot. For example, you will move the queen, queen c7, knight to f7 check, king to g8. White does not have any active discoveries for the moment, but still it will be incredibly difficult for black to develop. Like maybe you can survive this against a human, but again, it takes a human to find this. So yeah, not an easy move to spot. But in the game, g6 was played, and now it's all David Navara from this point on. Pawn to h5. Okay, of course, you want to open up the h file. If captures, captures, you put a rook on h1. Some checkmates already can be spotted here. Pawn to a6, finally getting rid of that knight. Knight captures on d6, queen captures, h captures on g6. We have h captures and rook to h1. And now, if these pawns disappear, then rook to h8 will just be checkmate. So queen to d7, again going after the rook, but this game was never about this rook. Knight captures on e5. Like we said, it's time to eliminate the pawns and deliver checkmate on h8. So queen captures on c8, now comes knight captures on f7, and there's no more way to continue the game. Here, Finek decided to give up his queen for the bishop here, point being that if you play something like knight to c6, then knight to d8, a discovery from the bishop, you have to move the king to g7, now knight captures on c6, and if you take the knight, then bishop captures on d4 is checkmate. That's the problem. All of the squares here are covered, nowhere for you to go. That is checkmate. So after knight captures on f7, Finek's only option was to take the bishop here and then take the knight. But of course, David will not fall for that. Queen captures on c4 was played. And of course, none of you were thinking about playing b captures on c4. First, we move the knight with check. And only now, after king to h7, you take the queen. B captures on c4. And now, if you count the material, yes, both sides have a rook and two pieces, but David just has many extra pawns. Here, knight to c6 was played, going for development. Capturing here doesn't really do all that much for you. You can just recapture, and also opening up this bishop's diagonal will not be helping you. So instead, knight to c6 was played, and now just knight to f5 with check, picking up the d4 pawn without ruining his pawn structure. King to g8, and now knight captures on d4. We have knight captures on a5, also capturing on d4 doesn't really do anything. And here, David just played pawn to d3, and he was in this position on move 31 that Finek Vaclav resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. It could also be that he lost on time because he had like 30 seconds when this position was reached, and I don't have the information. So either he resigned or he lost on time, but, regardless, David is up two healthy pawns, which for a former 2750 is more than enough. He has full control over the board. This is dead lost for black. So of course, even if he didn't lose on time, it was a fine moment to resign the game. But yeah, just to check it out one more time. So, not going for the castles. He felt restless. He wanted to go for the attack, played rook to g1, and then came this moment where this ill-advised capture was made. Knight captures was the better move. And then all of a sudden, rook to c1 happens, and well, the rest is history. First a queen sacrifice, and then immediately after that the offer of a rook, which could not be accepted. Only the engine defense was possible here, and that's pretty much it. I mean, beautiful game. All of the lines that happened in this game are beautiful. All of the lines that did not happen in this game are also beautiful. So yeah, I feel privileged to be able to show you this game. Once again, thank you a lot for recommending this to me, and hope you enjoyed this. Not every day do we get such a treat, but this day it was David Navara who shared this treat with us. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Always, if you're playing a chess game and you have a position, don't just feel obligated to like castle here, castle, or just play boring chess. Play rook g1, play g4. Create something. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Bjorn Bartel, Michael Hildebrand, Steve Schwartz, Casey Jones, and Johan Hoibai for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.